emails just leaked from Tarmac meeting with Bill Clinton. See before deleted. Newly released documents obtained by the American Center for Law and Justice show that members of the mainstream media are knowingly colluding with Hillary's campaign. Watch the infamous moment below at the 30-second mark. We'll get to that to let you know. Let me repeat that. The Justice Department colluded with Washington Post and the New York Times to tamp down stories relating to the Attorney General's infamous meeting with Bill Clinton. According to this shocking report, you can read that here. Comey's FBI lied to us. Now there's a surprise, right? The ACLJ submitted the FOIA requests to Comey's FBI and the Lynch DOJ about the Clinton-Lynch plane meeting. James Comey was the head of the FBI at the time. The response they got was no records responsive to your request were located. Here's what Varney and company had to say about the story. Stuart Varney said on Fox the following: Liz McDonald, I am hoping I can put it to rest. The New York Times reporter apologetically says he is being pressed into service to cover the story. A DOJ press official says, I talked with the ABC producer. He said he's not interested in covering it, even if Fox goes with it. Stuart Varney, this is collusion between reporters, specifically the Washington Post and the Department of Justice. It's time to lock up the traitors in the White House if you are tired of the media's attack on President Trump. Do the following: share on social media, comment, and lock them up if you want the White House to start taking action. What they're actually saying, which you'll hear in this snippet here, is that the letter from the Washington Post to the FBI, it says, we want to put it to rest, the letter. That they have the documentation also. Take a listen here.
I think is frankly just as important. It's coming to us from the American Center for Law and Justice. Now, under the Freedom of Information Act, this group asked the FBI for any documents related to the Clinton-Loretta Lynch Tarmac meeting. Remember that? Right before the election? At the time, the FBI, then under the direction of James Comey, said they didn't have any documents. But documents received today include several emails between the FBI and the Department of Justice related to that Tarmac meeting. Have you gone through this story yet?
I have. I'm not finished, but it doesn't look good for James Comey and the FBI.
Okay, what they're saying is that there is documentation about that meeting.
Well,
Comey said there was no documentation. Let's not get into the weeds too much.
No, it's about the FBI's response and how the talking points are going to handle talking about that meeting. The big bombshell in this is the Washington Post reporter saying, I am hoping to I can put it to rest. A New York Times reporter apologetically says he was being pressed into service to have to cover the story. And an ABC producer, a story was breaking. The DOJ press official says, I talked to the ABC producer. He's not interested in covering it, even if Fox goes with it.
So this is collusion between reporters, specifically the Washington Post, specifically the Washington Post, and the Department of Justice.
And other
collusion.
Basically, to bury the story, exactly.
Correct.
Push it away.
Now, let me just say, as I've said, collusion by itself is only a crime in antitrust. However, this is, if true and proven,
what do you mean? They have the emails.
Dishonesty on the part of the media.
Okay, let's back.
It's not only dishonesty on the part of the media, it's dishonesty to the FBI, the Department of Justice, you see? Now let's take a quick listen at what Lynch was saying back in the day about that meeting.
Well, let's bring it back here at home here in Phoenix in a very interesting meeting on the tarmac at Sky Harbor International Airport.
Just so we could laugh.
15 has confirmed former President Bill Clinton was in town and met up with U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch as she was arriving in Phoenix. Now, this meeting took place just hours before the release of the Benghazi report, so we asked her about it.
I did see President Clinton at the Phoenix airport as I was leaving, and he spoke to myself and my husband on the plane. Our conversation was a great deal about his grandchildren. It was primarily social and about our travels. He mentioned the golf he played in Phoenix.
It doesn't end there. We're told the private meeting on board her plane lasted about a half hour. Lynch then told us there was no discussion of Benghazi, of State Department emails involving Hillary Clinton, or any current matter having to do with her office, Dan.
It was a 38-minute meeting, and you know that they were pressed for time also. So this was what she said, but they have from the FOIA Act, they have the letter that states from the Washington Post, like, we can put it to rest, this story, even if Fox goes with it, like we're going to bury it, in other words. The New York Times and the Washington Post. New York Times was apologetic, asking for the information from the FBI there. So it's collusion. Yes, okay, the media. The main thing is that Comey lied under oath